Welcome back to Sports Edition. Kenny McReynolds along with Paul Banks. The book, No, I Can't Get You Free Tickets. Paul, before I ask you about Bobby Knight, where can we buy the book? I keep telling everybody to go buy the book. I have to tell them where they can buy the book.
Just go to Amazon. It's available in paperback and Kindle.
Okay, Amazon. Okay, go to Amazon, get the book. Bobby Knight.
Yes.
My favorite part in the book. You had to deal with Bobby Knight. Not the most pleasant person ever to deal with. I mean,
he's not he's not a bundle of fun exactly. I was surprised that he really was on brand. It had military imagery. It had him hating the media. He was a complete jerk. I'm like, well, I only had a few minutes with Bobby Knight, but he was exactly as advertised.
Yeah, and what he is really what he is. People think it's a show, but no, he really is a jerk. I mean, and he doesn't care.
No, not at all.
You know, and that's what got him fired in Indiana, being a jerk. He thought he was bigger than the university, and I'm so glad that it was Miles Brand then, right? That chopped him down. I mean, how can you deal with coaches like that on a daily basis?
Yeah,
as a reporter,
I begin to wonder what would happen today if this would fly in the era of social media and. Because as I tell the story, when he slapped me across the back, and he did so with this smirk on his face, like he's kidding, but he's also, like 6'5", and he was not kidding. He did not like me. So, today, would somebody call that assault, what he did? I don't know. I just call him being a jerk, but that's kind of where you have to draw the line. I mean, we kind of see it with Izzo, that really hard-nosed, fiery, throwback kind of way. With Bobby Knight, the game just kind of passed him by. His methods weren't working. He was too hard line. His teams were just exhausted by March. And that's kind of, once they stopped doing anything in the tournament, then it was the opportunity that was there to get rid of him. And I think that's kind of where we're at. It's good. It's just going to be about what is the price of winning. Because we've seen over and over that people will take the moral high ground when the guy who's not being the best guy in the world is losing. Well,
and we talked earlier, look at Izzo. In a timeout, all he did was yell at one of his players, and it's all on social media, leading off the nightly news. Wow, coach yelled at a player. Well, that's what coaches do.
Yeah, I mean, my experiences with Izzo have been, he's snapped at me in press conferences. He's been in a bad mood, even after a win. I see you at courtside all the time at press row, so you've probably heard him drop some F-bombs.
Sure.
That's kind of how he is all the time. I mean,
coaches do.
The thing I guess we have to look at is the players themselves seem to go for it. They seem to back him. So.
Well, I think as a former player, what I always did was just let it roll off my back. Like, okay, coach, I got it. Okay, no big deal. And I always told people that I could have played for Bobby Knight. And I said, for real? I said, because there's nothing that he could have said or done to me that my mother hadn't already called me. So, I grew up in a single household in the projects. My mother was tough because she had to be. So whatever Bobby Knight said to me would not have been any big deal. But people nowadays are kind of soft and they don't let things roll off their back. I think yelling at Izzo was crazy because he yelled at a player. And that is exactly what coaches do. You've seen it. I've seen it. Also in the book, you talk about Brian Bickle as well.
Yeah, he was just an amazing person who's doing great things right now and trying to help. Because I don't think enough attention really gets paid to what happens to these guys once their careers are over and what's next for them. How do they find purpose? How do they find meaning? And that was a very emotional interview. It was a very powerful one. It was the same night I had my first chance to actually see the Stanley Cup. And him and Daniel Carcillo were both there, and they're both talking about, with Bickle, what he's doing to help guys move on and deal with mental health issues and deal with concussions. Obviously, Carcillo is a guy who's really passionate about trying to fight against the concussion crisis. And that's the thing. People will realize your career is pretty short. You're going to have to do something else for the rest of your life.
And I think what I like about you brought out in the book, too, and it comes across that these guys are human beings. You see them on the ice. You see this Carcillo especially mixing it up. You see Bickle, big guy, checking people into the boards. But at the end of the day, the career is short. They're human beings. MS, you get concussions. And I think that really came across that chapter that, hey, these guys are human beings. So let's not forget that.
Right. I mean, MS is something that's so much bigger than sports. Head injuries is so much bigger than sports. And, you know, here we are talking about these guys, and we're talking about Bickle and Carcillo being great human beings, and we're talking about Bobby Knight being a horrible human being.
It's all in the book. So go get the book on Amazon. Hey, let's take a break. One short segment coming back in a minute.